All right, everyone. Welcome to week 3 of the Zoom pods for BJ's Fantasy Corner. I got my good buddy Charles, who is the head baseball coach at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire on. Say hi, Charles, to everybody.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me, Ben. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I got my boy Jimmy Albright on the call, too.
What's up, everybody?
All right, let's get right into it. So we're past the NFL draft. We have a lot of uncertainty going forward with the season, but we do know one thing. The Bears drafted some players. That's about all we know. I think they had an okay draft. I don't think it was a great draft. I think their first 2 picks were decent. I think going forward, they didn't really do a whole lot. Charles, let's get your take on it. What do you think? What's your grade? If you were to grade them right now, what's your grade?
I would say I would give them a C+. I thought they reached a little bit. I like the idea of signing the tight end out of Notre Dame. I thought that was a good pick. It was needed. I didn't think they needed to draft like 4 more after that. I think it's with the cornerback, I probably would have went with the kid from Bama just because of the injury. But I think if that kid's healthy, but it's a big if he's healthy, he probably goes a lot higher. So they might have got some value. But, I mean, 3 shoulder surgeries is a lot, man.
Yeah, Jimmy, I know you were high on Jalen Johnson. What do you grade the draft?
Same kind of thing. I would say C+. Same kind of thing. I think the first 2, even though I wasn't a big fan of the Komet pick, the first 2 are good, and then I think it just kind of trails off to, you get to the 7th round, and who the hell are these guys? So I think that really brought down the value. But I think the first 2 picks definitely, they got some good value on those guys.
Yeah, I would agree. Komet being the number 1 tight end in the draft, I graded him a C- myself. I mean, I think they had just an average draft. I wouldn't say they had a draft like the Minnesota Vikings, and I wouldn't say they had a draft like the Carolina Panthers, not drafting any defensive players, or not draft. Was it no defensive players or no offensive players?
No offensive.
No offensive players.
Yeah.
So they drafted no offensive players for their new toy Teddy Bridgewater, but whatever. So we'll do a quick breakdown of each of the picks and see what you think. We all kind of talked about Komet and Johnson. Let's really dig into. Let's hear about Trevis Gibson, long-armed and strong offensive linebacker or outside linebacker, but he has trouble getting off blocks. That sounds kind of familiar to me, to you, doesn't it, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, who does that sound like to you, Jimmy?
I don't know, man. I mean, probably someone that's not on the team anymore.
Yeah, who plays for the Rams. Name is Leonard Floyd. He was a high pick, and he couldn't get off the block. You put one arm on him, and he's gone.
Yeah.
All right, so we all agree that was a terrible pick. All right, Kindle Vildor, a cornerback that has a hard time with change of direction, which, wide receivers change direction all the time. How are you going to have a hard time with that? You got to cover a wide receiver. They're going to be skittish and running all over the place. You can't change direction. What are you going to do? Jimmy, what do you think about that pick?
Yeah, I think that might be one of the worst picks they made. They brought in, so I'm, like we said, really high on Jalen Johnson. That's going to be hopefully your CB2. But then, you went and signed Artie Burns. You have Tolliver still. You went and signed Roberson, the Canadian legend. So why the hell do you need to draft a CB6, at 163 when there were plenty of other guys you could have drafted? I mean, they went on to draft, a speed receiver that there was better ones instead of, like I said, a CB6 that may do some special teams. I mean, that's why you have McManus. I don't really know why. I guess just filling out your roster, but you can do that in the 7th. You don't have to do that with, a 5th-round pick.
Yeah. All right, Charles, let's hear your take on it. What do you think? What's your analysis on that pick?
I feel like for a 5th-round pick, they lost a little bit there because that guy would have been there later if they wanted him. I might would have gone offensive line there, maybe went tackle, to shore up that protection for Nick Foles, who's probably going to end up the quarterback. I probably would have did that there. 5th round for that guy, that was kind of pulling, and they kind of went downhill from there. I think once they made that Johnson pick, from then it kind of just dropped off. So, for the value that they got things, the 163rd pick, they could have did a lot better than that.
I think Jimmy and I have talked about this. They probably should have traded back to grab some more picks. I mean, they probably could have traded back into the 180s or 170s or even 190s to gobble up a couple more guys just to fill the roster. So, yeah, I don't like that pick either. I graded it a D. The 2 picks in the middle, the 3rd and the 4th pick they had, I both gave Ds to because you're picking 2 guys who can't play their position well, and you plan on having them play in the NFL. I'm sorry, it's not going to work out. All right, Darnell Mooney, a speedy wide receiver. He has big hands, but he's small sized, so which means don't expect him to win a jump ball. But he can turn on the burners and get loose if he needs to. Charles, what do you think of that pick?
In a receiver draft that was loaded, man, it was so many better options there. I mean, granted, that's a later round pick, right? They got him in the 5th again. But, man, they could have maybe traded one of those 5th-round picks and a 2nd-round pick. I might would have liked that guy to USC, Pittman. The Colts got him, who I think had a great draft. They filled all their needs. But, you do something like that in a draft. It was so many better receiver options. That was the premium position where there was a ton of guys and a lot of depth. And I just don't think that guy helps you there. The thing that I'm kind of looking for going forward for them is I'm hoping Riley Ridley kind of steps up this year. I know they got rid of Gabriel, so I'm expecting a lot of things out of Ridley.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see Ridley do some more damage this year. I know he didn't really get a chance last year. No wide receiver on the Bears got a chance because Mitch can't throw a ball to one of them. So, Jimmy, what do you think of the pick of Darnell Mooney?
Yeah, I mean, I think it might be tied with the Vildor for horrible pick. I think if you're going to go speed receiver, I mean, John Hightower was there at 163. I think he has much better upside, and I mean, he's a bigger wide receiver. Like Charles said, I mean, you can go, 25, 30 wide receivers deep. And I mean, I've done so many mock drafts. I've so deep into 7th round, wide receivers. I've never heard of this damn guy, which isn't a good sign. And then they said that the Mike Furry was fighting for him. I mean, I guess if you're going to pound the table for a guy, good. But I mean, he's just an undersized speed guy that he doesn't have any return experience. So really
great.
all he's going to do is, he's just going to be a straight deep threat. And they said straight line speed. So he's not, straight 9 route every time. Let's go.
Run the 9. Just run until you catch the ball. That's all you're going to do. All right, well, let's move on from that horrible pick and move on to another bad pick. Arlington Hambright is an average size for a lineman, which is 6'4", 6'5" is average, I guess. Has good hands to get off the ball quick, and he adds depth to a bad line. So, I mean, I gave that one a C. I mean, you're getting a late-round offensive lineman pick, and you're not going to get much of anything out of that. Maybe he makes the squad. Maybe he's a practice squad guy. Maybe he just adds a little depth to them. Charles, what do you think of that pick?
I mean, at this point, in the 7th round, you're not going to get a difference maker who's going to really solidify that upfront, blocking scheme. But they gave it a try. You know what I mean? At that point, I don't know. I might try to find a guy who can help me in the special teams, or a burner guy, something like that. That's going to be late. That's a sleeper, more of an athlete at that position where you're kind of it's low risk, high reward. There, I probably would have went a little bit different than that, but I'm not sure how much help he's going to provide. He gets off the ball, but the size of NFL players, man, that's a tough matchup to see him going against. I don't think he's going to provide any impact.
Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree completely. I think they already said he doesn't have the length to play tackle, so he's going to have to move into guard. So, I mean, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep up with any of the, interior quickness. I mean, if he were to start, which I don't think so, I mean, Aaron Donald is just going to eat him up. I mean, he eats everybody up, though. And then they said he has sloppy footwork. So, yeah, I mean, I guess a project, but they're always just banking on finding another Charles Leno in the 7th round when, I mean, yeah, that's cool when that happens, but that's not going to happen every time.
No, and then the next pick is another project, Latavius Simmons, who is another depth piece project who apparently someone's pumping him up because everything I read about him was the guy is just not ready. Like, he came out, which is fine, but he needs a lot of work. And again, you're spending a 7th round pick on him, so he may not even make the team. He may be one of those guys that gets cut in the preseason, or if we have a preseason or training camp. But Jimmy, what do you think of that pick?
Yeah, I mean, that one, once again, never heard of the guy. I mean, I don't do a lot of Tennessee State recruiting or anything like that. I mean, this one I gave a C on this one. I mean, everything I've read about him, the scouts are just raving on him, which, I mean, it's kind of weird. They're saying he might be a diamond in the rough. But, I mean, I guess they said he could play like bully ball, but he doesn't have any, interior quickness for any of the zone blocking they want to do. So it's just going to be, if they're running dives, that's your guy. But if you're looking, kind of swing him out or anything like that, he's not going to be functional at all.
Okay. Charles, what do you think?
Again, man, that's same pick as what they just did. It's just repetitive. They got another guy. I mean, if you're gonna go up front like that, you got to go to a heavy running school where they really push the ball down people's throat. And Tennessee is not even close to being anything near that in the SEC. So I think that's a pick you just throw away. And they wasted another pick. They went back to back with that.
Yeah, I think so too. And that, again, grading him as an overall C, just with what they did last like 3 or 4 picks, really. I mean, they had A, and then drop off the table. So it seems like Ryan Pace knows what he's doing for the first couple picks, and someone else comes in and says, hey, let's do this crazy idea to have a couple projects on the team to protect Mitch from not getting killed, which, if he's a starter. I was surprised, and I know Jimmy and I have talked about this, that they didn't even take a chance on a quarterback. I haven't seen them sign one yet in UDFAs either. So that means they're really riding the Foles, Mitch, and Tyler Bray, I think, is their third guy on the squad, Tyler freaking Bray. So I don't know what you guys think. I think it's going to be Foles' show. I mean, you got to pay that guy that much money. He's going to play. Mitch is not going to be back after next year, so if we have a season. So, Charles, what do you think of the quarterback situation in Chicago right now?
It's awful. I mean, Nick Foles was a good, solid pick, but my thing is, why not gamble on a guy like Jake Fromm in that position? He went late anyway, right? I believe he went in, 5th round?
Yeah.
And he just kept falling and falling. He's a guy that's played big games, and I think there's something to be said about that. I mean, if you look at how they screwed up with Trubisky, who was a backup between a guy who had never even made it to the NFL, and he had never played in high competitive games. I just then you got Deshaun Watson, who really that would have been the pick, not Mahomes, but give me a guy that's played in the big games and has an understanding, for being able to control the moment and show up in those spots. And I think Fromm would have been you wouldn't have even had to give up much. You probably would have swapped picks with someone to get him. So it's not like you would have mortgaged the farm. They're not going to pick up that option on Trubisky. That's too much money for that guy. So why not get a guy like that in that spot and kind of groom him? That's just me.
24 million for the option. Not a chance there's no way he's going to make that. And Fromm was picked number 167. So take that 163 pick we have.
Yes.
You got Jacob Fromm. Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree completely. I don't know how you don't kick the tires on Jake Fromm at 163. I mean, even if no matter what kind of physical limitations you think he has, I mean, the guy was an absolute killer in the SEC. I don't know why you wouldn't have. I mean, you paid Chase Daniel like $6 million
to be a coach.
You try and tell me Jake Fromm can't come in, and even if he doesn't do anything, you have your backup the next 12 years.
I tell you what
I mean, like
Fromm's accurate.
Exactly. He's not going to wow you. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but that's fine. I mean, if he can complete a pass, he's already got Mitch beat. So I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? And like you said, they have nobody. They have Mitch, Foles, and then punk ass Tyler Bray, I guess. They were talking about like Ben DiNucci. They told him, hey, when nobody drafts you, we're gonna sign you, as an undrafted free agent. And then the Cowboys drafted him in the 7th round. So they're like, oh shit, okay. So yeah, I mean, it's like, then just draft a guy. Like you said, instead of throwing one of these picks on project offensive linemen that aren't going to fit, just grab somebody. You got to have another body in there. Tyler Bray ain't it. You're not paying, even the 5th-year option isn't guaranteed, but you're not going to pay. You don't want to pay Mitch anything. Just go. You know what I mean? It's a Foles show, but you got to get somebody because I don't think Foles has played a full season in like 5 or 6 years.
No, he's made of glass. He's going to get hurt again. I mean, especially if our offensive line can't protect him. You 3 snaps last year he was hurt, broken clavicle, 3 snaps. Yep. So, and I mean, Gardner Minshew didn't get killed like that. So, it's worrisome. It's very worrisome. All right, so biggest surprises from day 3. Jacob Eason went to the Colts in the 4th round at pick 122. Josh Morgan went to the Jets in the 4th round at pick 125. Jake Fromm went to where'd he go? For 167.
Bills.
The Bills, that's right. Went to the Bills. Went to Buffalo at 167. So those are some pretty big surprises, especially since they had quarterback cam on Jake Fromm for the whole thing. That was like watching Aaron Rodgers when he got picked, sit in the back room by himself, watching everyone go, oh, look, there goes another. Oh, okay, all right. Oh, hey, another guy right there. Oh, wow. What pick am I at now? 24? Oh, 5 rounds sitting like that with the camera there. He was the only one left.
Yeah.
That Jake Fromm is weird because they're like, oh, he's going to be a great backup to Josh Allen in case Josh Allen gets hurt. They're two opposite quarterbacks. Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Jake Fromm, he's not mobile. He doesn't have a cannon. So, I mean, I don't understand how you can have the exact polar opposites of if somebody gets hurt, they can come in. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're not really pluggable pieces. Allen's pretty good. I like him a lot. I think he's got pretty good upside. I think he's still going to grow. Then they add Stephon Diggs, too, to that receiving core. Buffalo's going to be all right. New England's going to fall off, obviously. It may take them a year or two. But
No,
Buffalo
Jared Stidham, Super Bowl. Calling it now. Jared Stidham, Super Bowl. They got a plan.
See. Okay.
They're going to tank for Trevor.
Yeah.
They
might.
Yeah,
Lawrence and another, 25 years of quarterbacking.
Hashtag tank for Trevor.
Yeah.
So we're going to break down the NFC North now. Obviously, we know how the Bears did. We can skip them, but we'll go from Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit. I couldn't believe how many picks the Vikings had. They had at one point 17 picks. They traded one, so they had still 16 picks. I mean, they almost loaded their whole roster back up again with the draft. So we gave them, we graded them as a B+. They got replacements for Diggs and Jefferson. They got replacement for Rhodes and Gladney, and possibly a CB2 and Dantzler. Drafted a possible starter at right tackle, Cleveland. Not the city, the guy, and a very nice value pick in Lynch, the defensive tackle, and Troy Dye, an inside linebacker. And then the wheels kind of fell off later, and at the end, the backup to Cousins, clone and Nate Stanley. So we gave him a B+. Yeah, B+. Charles, what do you think of the draft that the Vikings had?
I think they had the best draft in the division. I know we're going to get on to the Lions and other teams like that, but I thought Minnesota, they made an attempt at least to fulfill every need that they had out there. They obviously had a ton of picks and they stockpiled those, but now they got some depth. So if they don't have maybe one guy pan out, and they had high round picks too, third round picks, multiple. So I think they did a pretty decent job, and I thought they did the best out of every other team.
Jimmy, what do you think of how they did?
Yeah, I think I agree. I probably would have gave them an A-, but since they're the Vikings, I knocked them down to B+. But yeah, I think they might have had one of my favorite drafts for the whole NFL. I think going from Diggs to Jefferson, I don't think there's that much of a fall off, and plus you don't have to pay the money. Rhodes, if he had listened to our podcast at all, he fell off a cliff from game one, and Gladney, I love him. And then I really love Dantzler too. So, like you said, they probably got at least 6 starters maybe, and then some really good depth pieces because Troy Dye can probably start on any other team in the conference. Minnesota's a little stacked at inside linebacker, but all the guy did was lead Oregon in tackles 4 straight years.
Pretty good. All right, let's get on to the Green Bay Packers. So we graded them as a D. They drafted no wide receivers in probably the deepest wide receiver draft we've seen in a long time. Next year is supposed to be even deeper, which I can't even imagine a deeper draft than that, a wide receiver. But there's a lot of kids who are coming out into the draft next year, juniors and seniors who will play wide receiver who are pretty good. So if we get to play a college season, we'll get to see some of them on display. It's a big if right now. We don't know what's going to happen. They drafted their backup quarterback in the first round. There's been rumors that there's writing on the wall that this is kind of a shot at Rodgers from LaFleur saying, "Hey, I'm not going to take your attitude around here. So we've got your successor already." Jimmy, what do you think about that? You think LaFleur kind of fired a shot at him with this pick?
Yeah, I get the whole, he's, what did we say he was, 36, 37, 35, whatever it is. I get you want to get a quarterback of the future. But you don't trade up in the first round to get one when I think Rodgers has another 3 to 4 years. And, the poor guy is basically begging, just give me somebody, please. I have Devontae Adams. Just give me somebody. You tried giving me the corpse of Jimmy Graham. That didn't work out. Give me anybody, please. And they say, okay, we got you. How about we trade up and get a quarterback? Is that what you're talking about? Is that the help you needed in the quarterback room you meant? It just doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I know you want to plan for the future, but I think it just doesn't make sense. And Rodgers is not the guy that's going to mentor anybody.
No. Charles, what do you think? Do you think that was a bad pick?
I thought they were the only team that did worse than the Bears in the entire draft. They had an awful draft. You got Aaron Rodgers, like you said, who's got another 2 or 3 years, I mean, he's not going anywhere. Obviously, Rodgers has an attitude problem, right, and doesn't do very well with coaching and kind of likes to do his own thing. And, he's not the leader guy, but the guy puts up numbers. And I thought Pittman would have been they wouldn't have had to give up anything, and that would have been a great end of the first-round pick for them. That guy can run routes. He can catch the ball. He can play slot. I thought and he's bigger. I thought he would have been a great pick for them, but that's why I guess I sit on the couch and watch. But I thought their whole draft was just terrible. I don't know how you don't do anything to shore up those skill positions at all when you got that quarterback who's been waiting. I don't forgot how long, but what was it? Was it 50-something years in the first round that they hadn't taken a skill player? That I don't know. Again, they had a worse draft than the Bears. That's all I got to really say.
Yeah, it's just – yeah, A-Rod and J-Lo now. I heard that joke. I don't know if, Jim, you saw that. We got A-Rod and J-Lo in Wisconsin now. Up by is Green Bay anywhere close to where you coach at, Charles? Are you far from there, or is that?
Yeah, it's not that far actually. I'm up toward Twin Cities.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not that far. I want to say 45 minutes maybe.
Oh, that's not bad.
No.
All right, so let's move on to Detroit, who we gave a C. They drafted Okudah at the number the 3 pick. They drafted Okudah 3 as no-brainer. He replaces Darius Slay. Swift can add some speed to the severely lacking running back committee. Detroit drafted 2 guards in Jonah Jackson and Logan Stenberg that can start right away, which is great for them. Gets their offensive line ready to roll. And Jackson is a right guard, replaces Graham Glasgow. A severe overreach, though, at the second running back in Jason Huntley, who was not one of the draft analyst top 400. So, again, maybe they took Ryan Pace's playbook and said, let's copy it a little bit for a running back. Charles, what do you think of Detroit's draft? Again, we gave him a C+, Jimmy and I did.
Oh, correction, by the way, Green Bay is 3 hours from Eau Claire.
Oh, well,
so
not exactly a stone's throw.
No. Yeah. Call me crazy. I know that's a good pick at corner right there, and you got to, replace Darius Slay, but I might would have went Tua. Stafford's he's toward the tail end of his career. You don't get a franchise quarterback opportunity like that often. I might would have went Tua there and kind of shook things up a little bit.
Jimmy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I do like the Okudah pick. Like you said, he does replace Darius Slay. But, they also traded for, what's his name, Desmond Trufant from Atlanta. So, they granted Trufant isn't Slay, but, he's still, be a CB1. I really can't fault that, if they were to go Tua. I think, unfortunately, I don't know how much longer Matt Patricia's going to be up there. So I think maybe they wanted to go Tua, and they're like, hey, listen, let's just see what we got here, because I don't think him and Bob Quinn are probably going to last another year. I think they have one more year, and then they're probably going to get replaced. Another, failed Belichick coaching tree hire. So, I could see why they didn't go that way. I guess they love Stafford, but, Stafford is just one of those guys that, he's going to put up numbers, but, he's never really won anything. So, maybe they shoot somebody over to Green Bay and take Rodgers off their hands.
No, Rodgers. I would love to see Rodgers come to the Bears.
Hey, if he wins us games, I don't care who he is. I don't care if you have Brett Favre from our retirement play for us. Just as long as we win games, I don't care.
I'm with you.
All right, we are running up against the clock here. We only have about 8.5 minutes left on our Zoom pod because they're taking away the free amount of time we get to use now. So we only get about another 8 minutes. We'll just break down quickly the draft as a whole. I was kind of bored in this draft. The whole virtual thing was nice, but I wanted to see some sexy trades, and there were not really any. It was just like, oh, we'll trade the 163 for the 164. Okay, whatever. Charles, what do you think?
That's perfectly said. It was very – I think I even made a Facebook post about it, just not only the Bears having, but it was just uneventful. There was no – I liked the concept of it and what they did, and, I thought it worked. Obviously the ratings were really high because nobody had anything else to watch. But I thought as far as what teams did, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the teams kind of traditionally stay to what they normally do. No one kind of took any risk in this draft and kind of, gambled on many players. And I thought that didn't make for a very exciting draft. I was hoping a couple guys would go in certain spots and they just didn't fall in place, and they actually end up going a couple rounds even later.
Yeah. Jimmy, I know you kind of felt the same way, but you want to give your 2 cents on that?
Yeah, I think it was like you said. I don't know. I have to imagine, the coronavirus and everything with not having, truncated pro days. Some people didn't even have them. That they just kind of went straight off their board. Not, like you said, they didn't say, hey, let's try and be sneaky. Let's meet with this guy on the side. Couldn't meet with anybody. So I don't. I think that's probably why they just stuck straight to their board. Like you said, there are no real big trades. I mean, maybe the Jordan Love moving up, what's a surprise? A couple of the quarterbacks falling. But yeah, I mean, like you said, nothing else really happened. I mean, besides New England's kicker, besides that, besides that
And his
goofball. But
tattoo, yeah, his
yeah,
tattoo.
so, but yeah, I mean, other than that, nothing really, um, nothing would stand out. Like if I think back in 2 years on this draft, nothing is gonna, pop out to me at all.
No,
You,
no.
you know what it was kind of like? You know when you're doing a fantasy draft and you have your ranking and then you've got like Yahoo's ranking or you got ESPN's ranking. That's exactly what they did. They went exactly with the average draft position and they didn't make their own list. They kind of went off where this guy should fall and they made those picks, I felt like.
Yeah, they sat down auto draft and
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
had dinner with the family or something.
Yeah, that's after the second round. That's seriously what it felt like. It was like, all right, well, this one's done. Let's go. And we just got to watch Roger Goodell scream at a TV for no reason, and then eventually go from standing to sitting to lean back and almost asleep with every pick. I mean, why you got that guy staying up till 11 o'clock at night? He's tired. He's had enough. Get that senior VP in there to do some talking or something.
Right, yeah, because I mean, doesn't Goodell normally only do the first round?
Yes, and
Yeah.
I thought they were going to do that.
Yeah, and then they bring like the VP, like you said, for the second, and then they start trotting everybody out. Whoever the punter from the '83 Colts is out there making a pick in the fifth round. Just random damn people all the time.
But listen, let me tell you something. For the amount of money that Roger Goodell gets paid, he should have been out there for every single pick. He's making a lot more money than the three of us combined. So
Yeah,
take the damn chair away too. You're standing.
Yeah, to sit with his big bucket of M&Ms behind him. If you saw that,
telling fans to boo him like a moron.
Boo me. I mean, I'd say the most obscure person to ever accept a draft pick would be when Derrick Rose got drafted. You guys remember who the Bulls sent? They sent like the intern, like the accounting intern. You guys have a 0.02% of getting the first pick, so we're gonna send the accounting intern just in case.
That's
right.
It's
me? I get to go up there? The jersey was as tall as him. All right, so with only a couple of minutes left to go here, Charles, I know you're the head baseball coach now in the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. Obviously, with the coronavirus, I imagine you guys aren't playing or practicing or doing anything. How's it going for you? And go and tell us a little about your school for a few minutes.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I'm actually home right now in Illinois with my wife and my daughter. So that's been actually really nice. My daughter started walking right around the end of 9 months. So it's been cool it's been cool having that family time spending with both of them. So I came back here because everything we pretty much possess is here. I had an apartment up in Eau Claire, a couple minutes from the college. So while I was doing there, I got a lot of recruiting. But honestly, things have gone according to plan. I've gotten almost every kid that I've recruited, and I've kind of gone after. I don't feel like the coronavirus has hindered me at all.
Good.
In some aspects, it's kind of helped us because kids that are transferring in from junior colleges who would have been juniors, they got their years of eligibility back. So now basically I got a roster with guys that are freshmen and sophomores eligibility-wise, but they have a little bit more seasoning of college baseball. So it actually worked out really well for us. Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city. I think it's a baseball town. Not many colleges or baseball schools, and I think baseball is their number one sport there. They haven't had it since 1995. So it's just a buzz there for it. Everybody's just super excited. On our Twitter page, we're updating with the commits all the time and different things like that. So the chancellor of the school has been messaging me, and I've been talking to a lot of the other coaches who are really supportive, and everybody's really excited about it. It's awesome. It's a perfect fit for me.
Great. I'm so happy to hear for you. And you recently married. You have your little daughter now, which is awesome. Who's walking. That's everything's great. I hope everyone is healthy and safe. That's going to do it for us this week, guys. I'm going to put the subscribe button down in the bottom corner, so click right down here. And then if you want to subscribe to our channel, you can find us on Facebook at BJ's Fantasy Corner, at Twitter at BJ's Fantasy Corner. This will be up on YouTube in a little, probably tomorrow. Charles, feel free when it gets posted, share it, take it, do whatever you want to do with it. Send it out to all your boys, see what they think of it. And we'll see you guys next time on the corner. Everyone have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
No problem, Charles. Jimmy, take care.
Yeah, take it easy.